Hi, this is Josh with Retro TV 1 Tech, and today I'm going to be upgrading the RAM on my Tandy 1000 TL2. And as I've said before, this is the first computer I had when I was growing up, and it's super exciting to be doing some upgrades to it. It's a really great machine. It was very capable for its time. It came with 640K of RAM, which, as Bill Gates famously didn't actually say, but the rumor was he said 640K ought to be enough for anybody. But in this computer, as I'll show you in just a second, it's actually not quite enough. And so I bought some upgrade chips to upgrade this computer to 768K of RAM. And as you can see here, this upgrade used to be about $70 on the Radio Shack catalog, but now I got it from Jameco Electronics for about $15, so it's fun how the price of these chips has come down quite a bit. We just didn't see the need to upgrade it back when we first had the computer. We didn't even really understand, I don't think, what the upgrade would do. But let me show you what it will do for this computer before we get started with the upgrade. First of all, if you haven't seen my other Tandy 1000 TL2 videos, here's a little overview of the system. You can see it's got a keyboard that's basically exactly like the IBM Model M keyboard, which is so famous for having the best keyboard layout and some of the best technology in that era. I don't think this has the exact same switches as that, but it's still a really good keyboard and it's a great layout that's still basically used today with some modifications. And then you've got the system there. You can see the 5 1/4 drive, the 3.5-inch drive, and then the monitor, which is a Tandy CM11, and it's the higher resolution of the Tandy monitors. So anyway, let's power it up and I will show you that it has 640K of RAM now and why that won't work for a lot of things. There you can see 640K of RAM right there. Does that test right out of the gate when you power it up. Love how fast these systems start. So much faster than the computers of today because, you know, they're doing a lot less than today's computers are, and it boots right into DeskMate. So all good there. Alright, so we'll exit out of DeskMate and I'll show you a couple things here. See the hard drive still working, but I will have to replace that with compact flash eventually, but we'll do check disk and I'll show you how much memory is here. Apparently a guy named Larry used to own this computer, so that's why it says Larry is the volume. So right now it shows basically 640K total memory there. You can see at the bottom, and then 575K bytes free. And that's enough for a lot of programs and software, but it does run into trouble on a few things, especially graphics intensive games. So first of all, let me show you Commander Keen actually has a port here for the Tandy computer. So Commander Keen originally required EGA. The Tandy has CGA, but it also has a 16-color Tandy-only graphics mode that's modeled after the IBM PC Junior. So it doesn't work with EGA. It's not the same. So somebody actually had to modify the game files for Tandy so that we could see it in 16-color mode here on the Tandy. You can actually play it in CGA mode on the Tandy, but you couldn't see all 16 colors on it. So here's this working, and you can see it'll load up. It shows there's 340 kilobytes of RAM free for some reason, but either way, it works pretty good at first. Go for a new game. I don't know why it needs to be easy, but you know, whatever. Turn the sound up a little bit. It's really a pretty good little port of this, and at first it works pretty well. See a little bit of flickering there, but let me play through the first level really quick and I'll show you some of the issues here. There we go, got the pogo stick, all kinds of fun in this game. And I'm not gonna find any of the secret areas or anything like that, just gonna kind of speed through here. I want to show you what the issues are, because once it's loaded this level into memory, it starts running out of RAM a little bit. So it takes a while to go back to the Shadowlands. And the reason for that is because the video memory and the regular memory are actually shared on the Tandy 1000 TL2. So the video RAM actually takes up part of that 640K of RAM. So then it either turns out to be not enough RAM to run things or not enough video RAM to load intensive graphics in the high-res Tandy mode, which is what we're in right now. So I believe we'll start seeing glitches here if we load another level. There you go. You see the graphical glitches like crazy there. So there's not enough RAM to really load some of these graphics into the game. You can see Commander Keen turned into a white blob there for a minute. So it's still kind of playable, but definitely makes it a lot harder to see what you're doing in a lot of cases, and it's definitely glitching out pretty bad. So the processor can handle it just fine. There's a little bit of screen tearing, but it's not bad. But you can definitely see the glitching. So if I exit out of this, and you can see tons... Oh, and it just crashed right to the console here. Let's see. Oh, maybe that was what it was supposed to do. Okay. Here, let's... Anyway, it didn't crash. I actually just hit escape, but you can see all the graphical glitches in the game itself. Yeah, let me just die there for a second. There we go. Now when I exit to Shadowlands, you can see again lots of graphical glitches there. Now there is a program in this directory called adjust mem, and what you can do is you can actually add memory from the conventional RAM to the video RAM. Right now there's 16 kilobytes of video RAM allocated from the main 640K of system RAM. So if I put -16, it'll actually take away 16K of RAM from the conventional memory and put it in the video memory. Now you can see it's got 32K protected for the video, and that should be enough actually to make the graphical glitches go away, and it does, but it doesn't have enough RAM a lot of times to load the levels anymore. So I'll show you that here as I load the game again, and you can see now there's 324 kilobytes, which you wouldn't think would be a big deal, but apparently it is just a little bit too much. So let's see, we may not even be able to load into a level, but you won't see any graphical glitches with this. Let's see if it'll even load into this. It may say insufficient memory. Let's see. Maybe sometimes it loads it, sometimes it doesn't. Oh, insufficient memory to load level. That does actually take away the graphical glitches. Alright, I loaded a save game here, and I was able to, from a save game, I was able to get into another level. Now you can see the graphical glitches are completely gone at this point. I mean, you will see flickering, and that's something that happens with this particular video card. It may also be a monitor issue, I'm not sure, but the flickering is not what we're concerned about, some of the little specs and stuff, but there's actually no graphical glitches on Commander Keen or on any of the other animations. Everything's working fine because there's enough RAM, but I can't load all the levels, so obviously we need some more RAM so that we can dedicate more RAM to video. So what we're going to do to help this is add 128 kilobytes of RAM to the system, just like that Tandy memory upgrade that I showed you in the catalog earlier. Before we do that, let's go ahead and try a new game, Petsky Robots, programmed by the 8-bit guy David Murray. Really cool stuff here. And this port I believe was done by Jim Wright, but this one has the Tandy high-res mode. You can see down there, 640 by 200. It's not actually 256 color, but 16 color and high resolution. It takes the full video memory to do that. In fact, it takes more than the normally allocated 16 kilobytes of RAM to do that. And so we need more RAM to allocate to the system to make that work. So what happens is when we add the 128 kilobytes of RAM to the system, it will all be allocated to video, and then the full 640K of conventional RAM will work for any programs and games, and we'll have most of that available except for what DOS takes and some of the drivers. So I'll just show you how this works for right now. Let me do PC speaker. Hopefully it's not too loud. And you can see it looks like it starts up just fine. In fact, it looks beautiful. The high-res mode is really awesome. I didn't have any idea this Tandy had a 640 by 200 mode when I was younger. Now you can see a graphical glitch right there. So you can see, let me turn this down a little bit. The PC speaker is really loud on this thing, which is good. But you can see it's already glitching a little bit at the top. That works just fine. But it does glitch a little bit. The game itself works, it just glitches in and out of the game. So if I exit the level, this is a great game by the way, I'll do another review on this later on. Not a lot of people have been able to try this Tandy high-res mode from what I understand, so I was even talking to David on the Facebook group a little bit for Petsky Robots, and he was interested in seeing some screenshots because he hadn't seen it running on real hardware like this. So now when I try and exit, because of the memory issues, it tries to load command.com, which is the DOS system, and system halted. I love how it says have a nice DOS. That was in the program of the game, but then there's not enough memory to even load the system again, so I have to do that old famous Control-Alt-Delete and reset the system and all that. So yeah, so it definitely needs some more RAM, and it will help when we're able to add that in there and have more video RAM and more system RAM at the same time, so we get the best of both worlds on that. I'm going to show you one more thing just to prove that it's the memory causing the graphical glitches on Petsky Robots. If I do an adjust memory, and I add 16 more K of video RAM. When it says protected again, that's adding it to the video RAM. Modern computers have video cards or a separate video memory or video chips that are separated by the system, or they have a lot more RAM to share than this. Even cheaper computers without a dedicated graphics card now actually still have, you know, several gigabytes of RAM to share, which is plenty for the video. Or like I said, if you have a higher end system, you have your own video card, and I believe mine has 8 gigabytes of RAM on the card by itself, which is even pretty low by today's standards. So we don't have this problem in modern systems, obviously, but here, you know, everything, chips were very expensive, and memory, it was always at a premium. So let me reload Pesky Robots here again. And again, in the Tandy high-res graphics mode, I'm just going to load. Well, I'll go ahead and load with sound, just because sound probably does take up a little bit of RAM. And I'll just show you, there won't be a graphical glitch when this loads up. Now, this game actually has enough conventional RAM to load if I take away 16K. But you can see Commander Keen did not. Oh, just kidding. That didn't work. Let's try that again. Alright, last try. We're going to try it with 64K of video RAM, and let's see if the game will even load with that. Alright, here we go. Let's see if we can get rid of that graphical glitch. It isn't a big deal, it's just on the loading screen. The game itself works fine on this one. It's more of a big deal on the Commander Keen game that doesn't even really function correctly. Ah, there we go. Now the graphical glitch is gone. And again, you can see it just looks absolutely incredible. So, alright, cool. Well, that's enough of that for right now. We will... Let's see. Alright. So we're back in DOS with no errors. So we're going to get this thing taken apart, and we're going to add some RAM. One more thing I wanted to show really quick is if you're working on these older systems, it's actually good to park the hard drive. Sometimes it's not necessary, but it's good to do that. What it does is it puts the hard drive head in a park situation, so that just in case it gets jostled around while you're working on it, or you bump it up against something, which we hope I don't do, but it the head would contact the platter of the drive and possibly damage it. So if the head is put in a park location, it should be safe. So I just hit enter, and it says drive C is prepared for moving, and so now nothing else will work on the system. I just have to turn it off, but luckily everything is protected now. Alright, we've got the computer unplugged and brought over here to the table to get it open and ready to go. I did wipe it off a little bit too, but I'm going to be doing a deeper cleaning on it at some point just to get some of this residue off of it. Not sure if that's the paint wearing, because this part is actually metal on the top, or if it's actually just dirty, so we'll see. But either way, I want to get it cleaned up a little better. But let's get it open. So it's pretty easy to open the case. There are screws on either side of it, and then it just slides right off. Now here's the fun part. You have to be really careful the way that you take this off, because the power button over here, back up a little bit so you can see it, the power button over here is very long and goes all the way back to the back of the case. So you have to be careful not to damage that as you're removing it. There we go. Off it comes. Another thing you have to be really careful of with this is this volume switch is also really easy to break off. So you got to make sure that you pull straight out and then up. If you pull straight up like you're tempted to do when you do these types of things, it will definitely have some issues. First of all, you can see the power switch there. You can also see it's a little bit yellowed on the front. I don't know if that's worth retrobiting at some point or not. You can see the hard drive here. It's a Seagate hard drive, and it is been working for a long time, so I am going to upgrade to compact flash so I get a little bit more life out of it, just in case it does die. And you can see what we're targeting right there. These sockets right here, there are 4 RAM sockets, and I will add the RAM right there. There's the RAM that's already installed, I believe, and then I have 4 sockets to add 128 kilobytes of RAM. I also see a battery up there. I'm going to see what kind that is. If I have one like it, it'd be good to replace that. And you probably noticed earlier, there's actually a modem in here. That's the only expansion card that's in the computer. You can see the speaker, the modem itself, and there's phone jacks on the back of it. Of course, I don't have a phone line to test it out, but that's pretty cool. I may have to remove that to get a better look at the battery, though. Alright, so now we get a better look at the battery here. Shed a little light on the subject. Alright, so we'll see if we can get that out and take a look at it. There we go. Got it free. Let's take a look at it here. So it is really hard to see, but right there in the middle you can see it's a CR2032. It's a very common type of battery here, and you can see it says Radio Shack even at the top of it, so I'll have to keep that for posterity. But I'm going to replace that with a modern CR2032. This one is about 35 or 40 years old, somewhere around there, probably closer to 35, but still amazing that it survived this long, has not exploded, so definitely want to get that replaced so it doesn't explode in the case, and then we'll do the memory upgrade. And here is a brand new Amazon Basics CR2032. I wish I could have gotten a Radio Shack one, but you know, it's inside the computer. Nobody sees that. So either way, same battery, we're going to put it in there, and we should have working time after that. Ooh, that was a nice satisfying click there. I like that. Love this old technology. It's built really, really well. Put the modem back in and we'll do the memory. And yes, I know I need to get better lighting for the inside of these computers when I work on them. I will work on that. Right. Putting the modem back in, probably hasn't been moved in 30 some years, so that's pretty fun. These are ISA 8-bit slots, so we'll be adding some stuff to those eventually. This one eventually, but right now, just gonna put it back together. All right, that was not easy to do. Pretty tight because it's only been, that slot's only been used once, but we got it. You have to use a little force on these old expansion slots. Just got to apply a very even pressure, like I will have to do when I put in these memory chips here in just a bit. All right, now for the fun part. Here are my upgrade chips. I got these from Jameco Electronics. 2288023 is the part number. I can put a link down in the description of the video if you're interested in upgrading your system with these chips. These are interesting little plastic containers here these have. I believe this just pops right out of here. There we go. All right, we'll turn the light on the phone so you can see a little bit better what I'm doing here. And I'm just realizing that I should not have taken the modem. I should not have put the modem back in because one of the slots is obscured by the modem itself, but that's all right. Find a good spot for this and we'll put it right down in there. One more thing I want to point out too is this little dot and notch on the end here. You can see right here there's a little notch and a dot. The dot is pin 1 and the notch indicates which direction it should go. So if we look down on the board itself, let me zoom in here and see if we can see that. You can see there is a dot right here. So we'll want to put it facing that direction. Just pushes right in there. All right, we'll do the same thing with the second one. Find the position and ease it down in there very gently. Also with just the right amount of force. So one side of the socket is very loose and the other side has a little bit more force to it. And they go in at a little bit of an angle. So that's interesting. Hopefully I did that right, but it feels like I did. It feels like they're in there very solid. All right, well, I'm going to take the modem out again. There we go. One of those things when you're thinking about the battery and you're like, okay, I took the modem out. Now I'm going to put the modem back in. You don't, look at your next step until it's too late. Human nature, I guess. All right, there's 3. And the last one. Same thing, checking the dot and the notch location again, and we are good. These older electronics, they don't give you that margin for error. Everything in today's electronic world, generally it only goes in the way that it's supposed to. They make it kind of idiot proof, so to speak, and I am definitely prone to those idiot type mistakes just like everybody else is, so it is nice to have that, but also it's nice sometimes to know that you can just read the directions and get it right. The legs were a little bit too wide on that chip. Wasn't wanting to go in. Alright, after a little adjustment to the legs on that chip, I think it's going to go right in there. There we go. Yep, I got it. It would be that the last one would be the hardest one, wouldn't it? Alright, after checking those, I think they look pretty good. I'll give you a little top-down view there. Sorry about the glare. So I took the first chip out because I discovered on the last chip, having to move the legs just a little bit, I discovered that the sockets are just slightly narrower than where the pins were, and I actually didn't have the complete chip all the way in, which means that I need to reseat these a little bit. So I'm going to do that here real quick and make sure we're in good shape. There we go, that's the first chip looking a little bit better, and then I'll do the middle two here real quick. Oh, you live and learn on these things. So now I'm just very gently pushing on the legs of the chip so that they're just a little narrow, so it'll go in a little bit better. Let's try this one again. I don't have a lot of experience, as you saw in my Commodore video, with chips like these. Just getting them in exactly the right place so that all the legs go where they're supposed to go. It's not easy, but it's definitely fun when you get it right. Now the third chip. So we're going to find the right positioning for this little guy, and then we're going to put him in his home. There we go. Look at that. All right. If I had just known to narrow the legs a little bit, that probably would have saved me having to do it twice, but that's okay, I learned. And nothing was damaged, even though I'm really bad at inserting and removing these chips, but all good. I'm gonna put the modem back in and put it back together. Hopefully this is the last time I have to put this modem back in. It's been years since I've installed a modem, that's for sure. Good engineering on Tandy's part. These sockets are still, these expansion slots are still tight after all these years. All right, one last look at the inside of the case. We've got the new RAM installed there. We've got the new battery, and the modem that we're never going to use is back in there for posterity. Let's put it together and fire it up. And again, putting this case back together, we're going to want to go from the front first and slide it back very carefully. All good. Put the screws back in and we are in business. All right, here we go, the moment of truth. Let's see what we got here. There it is, 768K, it worked. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. So I guess I did put the chips in correctly. Yay, that's awesome. We'll save our celebration until we see if everything else works correctly. Alright, so the hard drive's giving me problems a little bit. Let's see if I can get it to spin up this time. There it goes. That makes me a little nervous. Now it's working. I really hope that continues to work for a while. Well, I guess not. Alright, we're going to try a boot disk in here. DOS boot disk, and see if we can get it to do something. See if it really is the hard drive. On system or disk error. Okay. Alright, so my boot disk wasn't working, so I had to make another one on my laptop. My old DOS laptop that I have. So, let's see if that works. It may be an issue that the RAM just isn't working. Or maybe the hard drive. But the hard drive sounds like it's working. Let's see if this will boot. But I know this is a working boot disk. Yeah, see, there's something else keeping this from booting. So, I don't know if it's the new battery I put in. I'll try taking that out first. And then I guess the RAM, because something is not working. Even though it says there's 768K of RAM. maybe the RAM's not compatible. That's sad. Okay, we've removed the battery, got it back together here. Well, let's see if that was the problem. Fingers crossed. If not, it's got to be the RAM. Okay, so it must be the RAM then. We're going to try it with this boot disk. And it still freezes out right there, so I am led to believe that it is in fact the memory that it doesn't like. Well, that's too bad. Take the memory back out and see if it still works. Alright, I just removed the modem, and I'm going to try the computer again without the modem, do a little troubleshooting over here on the table, so that I don't have to keep completely putting it back together every single time. So, let's see what happens. So I haven't removed any RAM yet. Let's just see if it'll boot like this. And it doesn't. We know it's not the hard drive. I just saw the hard drive light actually go on and off, so that's good. Alright, well, let's try the RAM taken out, I guess. Alright, I've taken one RAM chip out, just to see if maybe there's just one chip that's bad from the lot. So let's see what happens here with just one RAM chip. I wonder what number it'll give me. Oh, it's just 640K now. Interesting. So apparently it has to have all of it. Let's see if it'll actually boot this time. Up, and it boots right up. The good news is the hard drive's still good, just the RAM it didn't like. Well, there you go. Okay. Alright, well that was an unsuccessful RAM upgrade, but at least everything else is good and it still boots, so that's happy. I don't know why it didn't like that RAM for some reason. I tried updating the EEPROM here, it's kind of like the BIOS. Let's see if that'll do it. Nope. Same thing, still 640. So apparently you have to have all of the RAM in there every time. Alright, one more thing I am going to try while I've got it open is to put that new battery back in and see if that was okay. Looks like we're good. Okay, so I should be able to set the system time here and have it remember that. So that's cool. So if I go into setup here, go down to date and time, we're going to go to 05, 03, 2023, and the time is going to be 2:48, and then they do have AM PM up here. I don't have my mouse, so I got to do all the keyboard shortcuts. So hopefully that's correct. Good. Let's restart and see if that actually will hold. Alright, let's see if it remembers the date. Hey, it did. Alright, awesome. May 3rd, 2023. Very cool. Alright, well, we have a working clock battery now, so that's nice. And the correct time. Yay. Alright, I got the RAM chips installed one more time. I did switch them around a little bit just for fun to see if that will work. So, here we go. Moment of truth. So it does say 768K again. If it'll boot. Memory error. Oh. Interesting. Now it seems like it's counting through hex there at the bottom, so I'm not sure what that means. May mean one of the chips is indeed bad. So that means it's not going to work. Okay, well there you go. So one of those chips is bad then. Alright, so it's now several weeks later, and I discovered that I did in fact have the wrong kind of RAM chips. So after doing some research, this is what I came up with. It's a TMS 4464-10NL, which was the number that everybody recommended online. What I found out was I had 4416 derivative chips, and they basically weren't big enough. So it basically was half as big as what I needed, and this is exactly the right size. So the system was confused because it was expecting to see 128 kilobytes of RAM extra added to the system, when in reality I think it was only seeing like 64 kilobytes in 4 chips. So it was just confused, and probably the timing on the RAM was off and everything else. So anyway, we're going to try and get these installed and see if these work. Alright, so here's one of the chips. You can kind of see the markings on it, just like what was on the package. Texas Instrument chips. And I do need to bend the legs back just a little bit so that they'll fit in the sockets. I think I've seen somebody had like a machine or some kind, not a machine, but like a tool to bend the pins back, or the legs back, however you want to say it. Alright, so here goes the first one. Make sure I get it lined up properly before I get it seated down in there. Alright, so there's one. The hardest part is getting it all lined up. And here's another look at the second RAM chip, and just showing you how the legs are kind of bent out, and you have to kind of bend them in to get them to fit a little bit more easily. These sockets are definitely easier to deal with this time because I kind of got them broken in last time by inserting and removing the chips a couple different times to see why they weren't working. It looks like that one is in place and all good. Move on to number 3. All right, here comes the last one. Super excited to get this plugged in and try it out. I'm going to double check all those to make sure they're all seated properly. There they are. Let's zoom in a little bit and get a closer look. Looks like everything is seated properly. So we're going to get everything plugged in and powered on. Let's see if it works this time. Alright, so to be clear, what we should be seeing right now when we turn this on is 768 kilobytes of RAM checked and ready to go. And so we'll see if that happens. It did have 640K, we added 128K, and I'm really hoping that this time it works. So here we go. Fingers crossed. Let the monitor come on and we'll just see. Here we go. Yes! It worked! 768K, oh my goodness! As long as the system will boot, I think we'll be good. Yes! Oh my goodness, it booted. Last time it got stuck at that boot screen. Wow! Oh, I'm so glad that it worked. Wow! Memory upgrade successful. Just goes to show sometimes you just have to do a little bit of extra research, and it works. Man, that is so exciting. Wow. Well, there you go. Now we're going to do a little check disk and see how much RAM is showing here. It should be allocating all of the video memory now to the extra RAM and leaving the conventional RAM free for programs. There we go. Adjusted the camera a little bit. Let's see what it shows here now. So it's going to actually check the disk first, of course. Oh, wow. So yeah, so much more memory free right now. So 655 bytes, basically 640K total free, and now 599 is what is free. And before, it was actually 555 free. So we've gained about 50 kilobytes, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it actually is very, very important. So we're going to go into DOS and we're going to go into setup TL2. Let's see if it shows anything there. It's going to check the disk drives here real quick. Perfect. Oh, I think I have to do the advanced screen. Let me do that one. Setup TL2/A. Okay, here we go. All right, all of that is fine. We're going to go to the next screen. All right. So video memory should be able to be increased, I believe. So it should be able to be increased all the way up to 128K. So we're going to go ahead and update. All right, now we're going to restart and we should see the video RAM increase here. So we've got 768K. Everything's good. And that's the compact flash adapter booting up there. it does have that config sys error, but that's no worries. There we go, sorry about that. The camera got a little excited with the brightness there. Alright, now let's see what it does with check disk. Okay, so it didn't change anything. I think maybe it just automatically allocates the video RAM that way. By the way, if you see the bad sectors, that's pretty normal on a hard drive to have just tiny little bad sectors here and there. It's basically only 2 kilobytes that's bad, so that's not bad at all. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. So we should be able to run a lot of different software without any problem at all now. So the one thing I do want to try, and I don't have my speakers hooked up, but I'm going to go ahead and try Petsky Robots, because we should have plenty of RAM to make that work now. So we're going to go to DOS robot directory, and we're going to run this with the Tandy sound, since again I don't have the speakers connected for the Sound Blaster that I put in here. Between now and when I made this video, I actually put in that Sound Blaster card in here that I didn't have in when I first did this. But we're going to go Tandy high res mode, which is number 9, and we're just going to do PC speaker for sound. And it should work perfectly now. Before, it would kind of glitch up here at the top of the screen and when it was finished loading, but now it shouldn't have any problem with that at all. There it goes. Beautiful PC speaker sounds. Alright. Yeah, no problems at all there. So that was a successful upgrade. Perfect! Yay! And I do want to do a more in-depth review on this amazing game by the 8-bit guy. Really, really great game. But you can see that it runs perfectly. And before, when I would exit to DOS, it would actually give me an error message as well. So it should not do that either. Yep, have a nice DOS and everything's perfect. Wow. Everything seems to run a lot better with that extra memory. It just seemed like the computer really needed that. So again, like I said before, earlier in the video, this computer did, in its original configuration, share video memory with the system RAM of 640K. So you never really got the full 640K. So now, we're going to try Commander Keen, and we'll try it with the Tandy sound, since again I don't have the Sound Blaster connected. So now there's more RAM available. You can see it's detecting the Sound Blaster still, but we're not going to use that yet. There should be no problem running this now. Yeah, even the graphics seem to be a little more solid. They did have like little, I don't know, like snow or like little specks kind of appearing here and there. So I'm not sure, but either way, actually let's go back and let's make sure our sound is correct. Alright, we're going to go to Tandy, and we'll go for PC speaker for the sound effects. And let's go to new game. Here we go. There shouldn't be any problem now. Yep. Music's quiet, but sounds good. Takes a second to load the level, but yeah, there's no more flickering at all on this. Wow, it works so perfectly. Every once in a while, a tiny little blip of snow, but it's way better. You can already tell that it's just way happier right now. Awesome. So the next step is to see if it works with the ad-lib Sound Blaster sound. So I'll get it reconnected. It would even crash sometimes when it went back to the main map, the Shadowlands map. A little bit of snow there, but not bad. But now it doesn't do that anymore, and it's just working perfectly. So awesome. The other thing is it wouldn't even load with the Sound Blaster sound on before a lot of the levels. So I do want to try that as well. But again, it won't be as much fun if I don't have the speakers hooked up. So I'll get it hooked up, and we'll be back to check that out. Man, I'm excited. I can't believe it worked. After all that trial and error, it worked. Alright, we've got the computer back and set up in its rightful place. So now one more thing I want to check with this new memory configuration is whether Petsky Robots works with the ad-lib sound. It didn't work before, and I'll show you what that looked like right now. So we're going to do the same Tandy high-res graphics, do ad-lib, ad-lib. Now listen to the difference. Alright, so now that you've seen what it did look like before, when it was having a problem, it was just crashing back to the command prompt, as you saw on that video from my previous Sound Blaster installation video. So now, let's try it with the Tandy high-res graphics mode and the ad-lib, and let's see if it will load now with the additional memory. Alright, it's loading. This is where it would crash before, so let's see if it works. I think this is further than it got before. Yeah! Alright! Woohoo! Listen to that. Sounds amazing! And it works with the high res too, check this out. Such good graphics on this game. Would have been absolutely amazed if I had this game when I was a kid. I'm just walking around. Really cool. Wow, alright. So literally everything works perfectly. That's amazing. Okay, the next thing I wanted to try is Commander Keen. I already showed that it worked better with this configuration, but I want to show it now with the ad-lib sound and the joystick and everything together. Let's see if it works. I don't even have to do adjust memory anymore on this. That's the cool part. You hear the little pop there with the Sound Blaster. Alright, let's go to configure here. Let's make sure we've got the joystick working. So we're going to say use joystick 1. And we're going to move to the left corner and press button 1. There we go. And press button 2. Or is it this one? Okay, there we go. I never know which one's button 1 and button 2. Apparently it's the red and the blue here. Sorry, I know it's hard to see the joystick when the brightness on the camera is set a little bit lower so that you can see the screen. Alright, so we were going to go red, blue, yellow, and green. There we go. Alright, so let's see how this works. So before, it was just not able to load the levels with the ad-lib sound. Now, it should work perfectly. Awesome. Alright, so let's see if the joystick works. Yes! Awesome! Alright. Let's see if it'll load this. Before, it was crashing back to the main map screen here because there wasn't enough memory. So let's see what happens now. Yep, perfect. Awesome. It looks great. Scrolling is pretty smooth. Awesome, and the joystick works perfectly. Awesome. Well, there you go. Literally everything works. Well, that's all for now for this tricky Tandy memory upgrade. And if you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'm just really glad I got this done. It was a lot of research to figure out what the correct memory chips that I needed to order were, so I hope that this is helpful for someone else if you're doing the same kind of research I was, and maybe you'll come across this video and realize that I've got it already written out for you exactly what kind to get. It's the 4464 Texas Instruments chips, and it's really important to have those because the ones I had before, the 4416s, definitely didn't work, and luckily, didn't cause any damage or anything. Usually that's not the case, but I'm just glad that it's working now, and all the games I want to play work, and just really this Tandy is pretty much done. I hate to say that because I'm sure I'll think of something else to put on it, but hey, leave me a comment and let me know if you can think of anything else I can do to this thing. Otherwise, I'm just going to enjoy playing some games on it. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time. So for now, enjoy that tech and keep it retro. Also, I almost forgot, happy Septandy, everyone.